Com and BMRodds.com. What is going on, boys? What is going on? Welcome back to episode number 85 of The Lobby. As always, each and every week, starting out with the man who looks like he finally did his hair for a show, Mr. Sam's in charge.
What's going on,
Wow.
Bobby? How you doing? It is pitch black in upstate New York. 5 o'clock. The clocks turned back last week. We're
Yes.
not getting any sunlight anytime soon. But as the season turns, no more Yankees. But we're on with the Rangers. We're on with the Knicks. Rangers starting strong, 9-4. The Knicks won the first game of the stupid play-in tournament yesterday against the 76ers, and we march on. We've already gotten rid of the Cowboys. We're moving on from them, and we're strong
Okay.
on the Knicks and we're strong on the Rangers. That's why there's many sports and many teams to root for.
Exactly. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Donnie Rightside. What's up, Donnie?
Yeah, daylight savings. I mean, can we just move into the 21st century at this point? There's no reason to depress every single person at 4:25 to have it pitch black. And I preface this on my radios and TV shows as well, boys. Let me know what you think about this. How about the sun doesn't come up till 10:30 in the morning, and then we stay light till 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night? Why don't we just do that? I don't think anybody would have an issue with that. I would love that.
That is not a bad idea, actually, at all. They've been talking for a while about getting rid of daylight savings time, and they really should.
They say that every year, and then nothing ever happens.
They do. Exactly. And what's Sammy? What's the whole point behind it? What's the origin? What's the history?
Something.
Insight?
Yeah, I mean,
Farmers.
we're going into history and science. And
It's
stuff.
farmers.
Yeah,
Like
farmers.
we used to just farm. It's like, hey, we need more hours in the day in the summer and less in the winter. It makes us more efficient. Stop the madness, man. Put it back, please. Like I'm telling you, if it's minus 32 degrees out, it's 7:30 at night, but it's sunny, I'm still feeling good about myself. Come on.
Exactly. 100%. But speaking about feeling good about yourself, Sammy, I know you mentioned the Rangers. I know you mentioned the Knicks. Have you been to any games yet this season? Are you going to be going to any games?
Yep, I'll be going to a Ranger game, I believe, in March or April. They're playing Columbus Blue Jackets, so I'll be going to that game. Obviously, I just came back from Carolina, where I just hit 3 sports in 3 days. So I got a few months off. I got to be able to afford the next game. Madison Square Garden's a much more expensive ticket than Bank of America Stadium.
Exactly. But let's jump into some NBA. Sammy, since I got you here, what do you got for the NBA tonight?
Yeah, so right now you got one team that's still undefeated in the NBA, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Surprisingly.
In reference to like their social media presence, there's none. Like on a day-to-day basis, I follow ESPN, I follow NBA, I follow all the main guys, and they're still just focusing on the mainstream. They're focusing on LeBron, they're focusing on Durant, they're focusing on the Knicks, and it's like I didn't even realize that there's still a team that's 12-0 in the NBA right now. They're having as good as a start as Golden State had when they went 73-9, and they're playing arguably one of the worst teams in the league right now, which is the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid at least is playing a little bit, but I don't think he's playing tonight because it's back-to-back, and professional athletes don't play back-to-back. So we're going to go with the Cavaliers minus 11 over Philly. I also like the Pistons plus 6.5 versus the Bucks. The Bucks haven't been the same since they fired their coach at 30-11 coming off an NBA title. Now they got Doc Rivers, who stinks, and they're 2-8, one of the worst teams in the league as well. And they're 6.5 point versus the Pistons. I'll take the Pistons plus the points. And finally, I like the Spurs minus 10 over Washington. That Spurs and Wemby, Chris Paul, that offense is definitely doing a lot better than in the rookie season. Last year, Washington still isn't that good, and I like the Spurs to cover tonight.
Wonder if that coaching change had any shakeup to this 2-8 start. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, Giannis is still playing like Giannis, but Damian Lillard doesn't have the legs right now. He's shooting like 15% from the three-point line, and he keeps chucking it from 30 feet. If you're airballing it and bricking it from 28 feet, don't go back to 30 feet, then 32 feet. Why don't you step inside the three-point line, get some confidence, make some shots, then work your way back? He doesn't have the legs right now. He is bricking bad.
Yeah.
Adi, let's jump over to the NBA. That is a very good TV show.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What do you guys
Breaking Bad?
What do you guys been watching on TV?
No, sports.
Besides any other shows?
5 times a week. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, Squid Games comes back next month, so I'll be watching that.
Are you in, Sam? Are you in? Did you get it?
No, I didn't make it. Of course I didn't make it. I don't have enough of a job score. I didn't come up from a tough upbringing and stuff, so I don't relate. I'm too normal of a person.
You gotta sell yourself, Sam. You gotta give him a real heartbreaking story here.
Yeah, it's not going to really, once they look at my social media, they'll be like, yeah, none of that story matches up.
Donnie, let's jump over to you for the NBA talk. What do you got today?
Yeah, and Sammy's right on this. The NBA Cup, I talked about it last year. It's the worst run thing
Stupid.
that not a
It's
single
stupid.
damn person cares about and still runs through, and we'll have to live with it. But the Philadelphia 76ers, Sammy is right. They don't play back-to-backs. Like, they're struggling to start the season. So what did I do yesterday? Throw a game with the Knicks where it's like, okay, Joel Embiid's first game back, is going to be sluggish. Paul George actually had a good night, but no Tyrese Maxey. They lose that game. Not only does Joel Embiid sit tonight, also Paul George sits tonight as well. So it's the Jared McCain show in Philadelphia as you see those 11 and 11.5 pop up. I actually went a different direction this game. I don't think the Sixers win, but I took the under 104.5 team total for the Philadelphia 76ers. Where the hell are their points coming from tonight? The game total itself was only 217.5. I'm taking the Sixers under that number. They didn't get 100 last night with Embiid and Paul George. I don't think they get 100 tonight without those guys. Phoenix Suns and also the Sacramento Kings tonight. Looks like a heavy number, but number of guys will be sitting out once again for the Suns because they're on back-to-backs. A $1 trillion NBA league, which still has back-to-backs on a lot of nights, is absolutely ridiculous and terrible for your fan bases to watch, but I'll try to take advantage of it. I think the Sixers are sluggish tonight. Give me the under team total, and I'll take the Kings refreshed and ready to lay the 7.5 and beat the Phoenix Suns.
All righty. Thank you, Donnie. And guys, you still have a chance to get in tonight to play some poker. If you got nothing else going on, jump in there. You still have plenty of opportunities to get your hands on some bowler coins. I've been liking doing it on a Wednesday. I think it's definitely got some more people involved. So, Donnie, Sammy, you guys should definitely join in. But let's move on, Sammy. This big and highly anticipated fight this coming Friday, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. What's your take on it, Sam? Who do you think is going to win?
Well, the only reason why I'll be watching this fight is because it's free. I say free because I pay for Netflix. So it's on Netflix. So as long as you pay for Netflix, which is the #1 streaming source, I imagine, most people are going to have it. So that's the only reason why I'm watching it. It's a spectacle, but there's money to be made on this. I think there's two ways that you can look at this fight. Mike Tyson has the knockout ability. I don't really care how old he is. I would not want to be in a ring with him. So Tyson at a knockout is plus 300. And then on the other standpoint, if Tyson doesn't get the knockout in 3-4 rounds, is he going to have the endurance? And then you could also look at the over 5.5 rounds. But if you're looking for a big price, you can look at Jake Paul to win by decision, which is the most likely route at plus 280. The over-under is 5.5. I think that's going to go over. I really don't think, and I really hope that Mike Tyson does not get knocked out. Everyone will think that he's throwing it, even though he's 58 years old. I just don't believe that he's going to get knocked out. I'm not saying that Jake's not strong. He has knockout ability, but some of the fighters that he's fought, Mike Tyson will not get knocked out. Then I'm going to think that the fix is in. Tyson by KO, Paul by decision, win some money, and watch the madness and brew afterwards.
Oh, I mean, do you think Tyson's still in any strength, Sam? I mean, his last fight was exhibition back, 4 years ago, back in 2020. I mean,
and he
you
won
think
that.
he's still,
Yeah, I mean, and he won that against Roy Jones Jr. And again, we're not looking for him to be in shape. He's an avid pot smoker. So in reference to his long-term endurance, we know it's not great. Plus, he's in his upper 50s. He is stopping to smoke during this training session. But, he's going to be good for 2, 3, 4 rounds. And then in that later rounds, he's going to be good for a couple random shows of haymakers. And then other than that, it's just going to be a hug fest. They're going to knock each other, hug fest, separate each other. It's going to be it's going to be a big hug fest. But those first couple rounds, he's going to come in hot. That's what I expect.
All right, Donnie, what's your take on this matchup? And ultimately, who do you see taking it?
Yeah, the fight's down at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium. This is a better fight than the Cowboys put up against the Philadelphia Eagles this past Sunday. At least there's something that we can look forward to here. But hear me out on this. Sometimes I like to look at conspiracies. I think Mike Tyson took this fight because it's a very good payday. And I think these two guys actually like each other. They were trying to fight so many different times that it's finally coming off. And you can see it in the press conferences. But number two, Tyson gets a lot of money here. He'll go into his retirement. He's already got a ton of money. This adds to it. But the gravy train of Jake Paul and Netflix and all these media deals, why we actually watch his fights he keeps winning this, which keeps us to be intrigued. And he's knocking guys out, which sometimes is better than regular boxing because at least you want to see some showmanship, and he gives you that. If he steps into this ring and loses to Mike Tyson, he loses a split decision, is anybody ever going to care about a Jake Paul fight ever again? No. But if he beats Mike Tyson, hey, he beat the old man and nobody's mad at Mike Tyson. But you know what? Jake Paul is going to sell his next fight and people will watch. So from a conspiracy outlet, I think Jake Paul wins this because that money train has to continue. And I think him beating Mike Tyson will do that.
Do you think it's going, Donnie?
I think Jake Paul wins this one. Minus 220 on Bet Any Sports right now. I think he wins it. I do.
You think he wins by knockout or decision?
He's not knocking him out. It's got to be a decision. 8 rounds, 2 minutes. I don't think he's knocking
8 rounds?
I don't think so. Yeah.
How many rounds do you think it's going to go?
The decision. Plus 280.
Decision.
Yeah. You know what? All 8 rounds. Decision, Jake Paul. How about that?
All right. We will see this time next week. Sammy, let's jump over to you. Let's talk a little college football. What do you got on Saturday, and how did you do last weekend?
Yeah, last week a little mid. In reference to the big ticket games, Alabama beat LSU. I took the shot at LSU, and then on the other side, I took Georgia on the road. So I was I lost both of those on the big ticket games. In reference to this week, Georgia, that just came off their loss, is now out of the college football playoff, and they're going to battle back in this week with a big win over Tennessee. If they get their third loss, though, which could happen anytime in the next month, they're definitely going to be out. Right now, their strength of schedule and some of their wins is still more impressive than some of the teams ahead of them, but they still have the 2 losses. So that's where the big, you can't really have the controversy anymore at 12 teams, but there's still going to be team 13, 14, 50 that's going to have some drama and controversy. But I like Georgia to beat up on Tennessee at home and get back into the playoff picture for now. And I like Colorado. They're at 18 right now. They're hoping for some teams to lose. They have to win out to have any chance or any hope, any argument or any conversation at the playoff. But the best they can do is win and hope that teams lose. They're minus 11 over Utah. I think they continue to get the job done.
All righty. Thank you, Sammy. Donnie, how was your last week in college football? What do you got this weekend?
Last week was decent. My favorite one was the Travis Hunter anytime touchdown scoring market here last week for Colorado. Got it in the second half. Love to see that. Doubleheader this weekend. No better team in the country than Penn State. When you're up against a team you should pulverize. Penn State will pulverize Purdue. I laid the minus 28.5. I think that's a 30-point plus victory. And also keep in mind, Penn State does have 1 loss. If they do suffer another loss somewhere down the line before the college football playoff to make it in, you got to stack up these victories in an impressive fashion. I think James Franklin is perfect for that. 30-point win for me for Penn State. Game number 2, LSU and Florida. Florida's not going to have their key young quarterback, DJ Lagway, back. That team is horrendous on offense. Even though LSU is basically out of it at this point, they're a much better team than Florida overall. I'll lay the minus 4 to 4.5, and I'll take the LSU Tigers to beat the Florida Gators in the swamp.
All righty. Thank you, Donnie. Sammy, let's jump over to you. Let's talk a little last week NFL recap. Week number 10. How was it for you?
Yeah, NFL is actually pretty wild last week. If you look at the leaderboard, if you look at the standings for the contest, no one had more than 5 wins. Last week we had a ton of guys at 7-0, and not one poster had more than 5 wins this week. The best was 5-2, 24 points. That was Red the Tiger. Then you had one guy at 22 points. Then you had 7 tied at 21 points. So again, everyone, no one had a great week. I personally was 2-5 with 1 and 2 points. So I had 3 points total. I was in last place last week. This should give me a prize for somehow coming in last place. It's just as hard to come in first place as it is to come in last place. From a gambling standpoint, I did better, but from a contest standpoint, I didn't really do that good. But luckily, I wasn't betting the same games as the contest. The overall leaderboard, top 5 is a 14 points separating. You got Kyrgios at 5th place, 164. TT Warrior, 166, tied with Champ at 166. Second place, 007, 167. And Pie Mike, the leader, again for the second or third straight week, he's at 178. 11 points on top of second.
Awesome. Thank you, Sammy. Donnie, let's jump over to you. Week 11 in the NFL. Let's get a little preview from you, and then what do you got for your 7?
Yes, for me, another bloodbath, but at least, Sammy, I won 2 games, but I won my 4 and my 5. So at least it was a little bit better than the 1s and 2s. It just goes to show you. Last week was a tricky week, and certainly I was stepping into every landmine. Maybe it changes this week, which we hope. I had a decent week overall. If we're looking at prop bets from a side perspective, just missed. Hey, look, close wins don't count for anything. You got to win those 7s, 6s, and 5s on a week-to-week basis to have a chance at some prizes. For me, this week, I did take already some picks here. Detroit, I'm going to lay the 12.5 points over
Oh.
the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mac Jones, boys. Mac Jones is the quarterback. Stop the madness. That's a 14-point win by Detroit. Game number 2, New Orleans at home taking on Cleveland. I don't care about famous Jameis starting and coming back to New Orleans, and he's got an axe to grind. New Orleans actually showed me something, got off the mat and beat the Atlanta Falcons last week. I'll back them and basically pick them in this one. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, boys. I'm taking the 3.5 points. Russ, my MVP candidate for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they don't win, it's going to be a 3-point game. It always is. Great game at 1 o'clock. I'll take the 3.5 in that game. Seattle Seahawks, 6.5 on the road against the San Francisco 49ers. I'll take the 6.5 points. DK Metcalf practiced today. That's a key component coming back into the lineup. It's always a close game between those two. I'm going to take the points with the 6.5. Also, the Buffalo Bills at home to end the streak for Kansas City at 9 straight wins to open up the season. Buffalo Bills minus 2.5 for me. Also, the New York Jets, dead and buried in the water. Why should they be favored against anybody? Anthony Richardson coming back to Indianapolis. They'll cover the 3.5. And quite frankly, I think they win that game outright. The Jets are absolutely atrocious. And then on Monday Night Football, Sam, you're going to like this one. Dallas looked so bad last week, and they said Cooper Rush is starting again. There is no way they hang around within double digits, even at home against Houston. And by the way, is it really home field advantage for the Cowboys? They get crushed every game at home. Give me the Houston Texans.
All righty, Dottie. Thank you. Sammy, let's jump over to you. Week 11. What do you like? And then what do you got for your 7?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start off right where Donnie left off, which Houston over Dallas. I think it's easy right now. You fade the Dallas Cowboys. You know, at the beginning of the season, when we're at your most confidence and your most highest of a fan and most hopeful, of course, we're betting on them every week. Now we're 3-8. We're one of the worst teams in the league, and we're hoping for a top 5 draft pick. And their offense barely can do anything, and then Zeke fumbles it in the red zone. So why not take Houston? That actually needs a bounce back win after a pretty bad Sunday Night Football loss. They couldn't take advantage of 5 interceptions from the Detroit Lions, and they couldn't take advantage, blowing a 23-7 lead. They'll have a nice bounce back win against Dallas. And with that being said, let's also go with Detroit over the Jaguars with Mac Jones. Detroit, again, they somehow pulled out a win 26-23 with 5 interceptions. There's no way that they should have had any chance, but that defense is that good, and the offense with 5 interceptions is still that good. Without those interceptions, they're easily putting up 40 points against the Houston Texans. No way at home that they're not putting up 40 points against the Jaguars. And then this week, you have a bunch of games with small spreads. I like New Orleans over Cleveland, bounce back game. Sometimes when a coach gets fired, the team, rattles behind it. They won last week against Atlanta, and now at home against Jameis. I think they can win that game. I like Baltimore over Pittsburgh, but it all depends on what line you're getting. Donnie's right in reference to the contest. If you're getting 3.5, I definitely like the 3.5, but in reference to who's going to win the game, if you like Baltimore, maybe buy that half point to 3 or 2.5, depending on where you're shopping. But if you're getting 3.5, you should definitely take Pittsburgh at home in that divisional matchup. I am different on the Kansas City Bills game. I just think right now there's just too much magic behind Patrick Mahomes. They haven't lost in 15 games. I am ready for them to lose. You know, I don't dislike Kansas City. I don't dislike Mahomes, but they've won it for 2 straight years. I am hoping that another team can just get to the Super Bowl. Another team can win the title. But right now, you just gotta. The refs are on their side. The magic's on their side. They're blocking field goals. They should have lost last week. I like the fact that Bills are a home favorite, and they can win that game. But right now, just follow the magic right now with Kansas City. And then Thursday Night Football should be another great Thursday Night Football game. Last week was great with Cincinnati, Baltimore. We got a divisional matchup with Philly and Washington. Philly might be the second best team in the NFC behind Detroit Lions, but we might find out today. We might find out tomorrow. This division is going to come down to Washington and Philly, and this is the first of 2 games. And I think you got the edge tomorrow with Philly at home and take down Washington.
Yeah.
All righty, Sammy. Thank you for that. And boys, best of luck on all your action. We will see you guys around the forum.
Let's win.